Thank you for joining us for this third installment of our series on Revelation. Today we're going to be talking about the fourth chapter of Revelation. The first three chapters of Revelation take place on earth. With Revelation chapter 4, then John of Patmos is told to come up to heaven to embark on what's now a visionary apocalyptic journey. So he is looking down at all of the things that are happening below. And just to recap something that was said earlier, this visionary journey is a standard feature of apocalyptic literature. It would be much like science fiction or fantasy writing today. Time and space travel is often involved in it. And so this genre was quite popular and very familiar for John's first century audience. And that's important for us to keep in mind, not only today, but throughout the book of Revelation, so that we can avoid this left behind kind of thinking where these are seen, what's written in Revelation is seen as a prediction of particular historical events. Just this past weekend, I was in a conversation with someone, and it came up that we were engaged in a study and sermon series on Revelation during the summer, and the person said, well, I studied Revelation, and there were 5 different descriptions of the things that were predicted from Revelation. And I had to say, well, I differ from all of them because we're following the lead of really noted and respected scholars who say that we really can't read Revelation. In fact, a great way to look at Revelation is that it shows us and demonstrates how we are to view events on earth from a deeper spiritual reality rather than what we are to view. And it's always important to keep in mind that John means for this to be a wake-up call to those who are reading it to the reality of their present situation. What we're going to do from the rest of this segment is to talk about some of the images that are found in chapter 4 of Revelation. I'll talk about 3 of them very briefly, and then Jesse is going to speak about the central image, perhaps for Revelation 4. So one of the images that we find in Revelation is the image of the throne. And that is very much a symbol of God's power. It's similar when we see throne in biblical material. It is very much like us saying the Oval Office. You know, when we say the Oval Office here in the United States, we may have a picture of that particular room, but what we're actually saying is that's the seat of power. And so that's what a throne represents. It may have evoked the Roman emperor's throne room, but it really evokes Old Testament imagery, particularly from the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 26 through 28, and Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. So take a look at those passages, if you will, and see how they very much bring forth the images that we see in Revelation. We have the images of the creatures, and that's found in chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. And all of the creatures, one of the things that's very much emphasized here is how all creation, all creatures are praising God. It's not about the schedules for the end time, but it's about the one who is in charge of all of the cosmos, and that is God. And again, this pouring forth of language and praise comes very much from the Old Testament as well, the Hebrew Scriptures, from the book of Ezekiel. So I just would invite you to look at the first chapter of Ezekiel and read all the way through that first chapter, and you will see many of those same images, same language that you'll find here in Revelation. So all of this is saying that when readers in the first century read Revelation, they would know these Old Testament, these Hebrew Scriptures, and it would say that the God who has been with us from the beginning is still present with us in our present day. And then the image of the scroll, and that is an important image here. And look to Isaiah for kind of the primary vision of that scroll. And in Isaiah 29, verse 11, we read, "This entire vision has become for you the words of a sealed scroll. When they give it to the one who can read, saying, 'Read this,' that one will say, 'I can't,' because it is sealed." And so that opens up the image of the scroll. The real central image for this chapter is the image of the Lamb, and Jesse's going to talk about that.
The question is, who is worthy to open the seal? Who is worthy to break the seal and to show us the scroll and to reveal to us what is the scroll? And it is the Lamb is the answer to that. And the image is of a slaughtered lamb. It is not the power of Rome that can unseal the scroll. It is instead the faithful witness of Christ, who alone can open the scroll, unseal the scroll. And Brian Blunt, in his commentary, which Lib and I have relied upon in this series a lot, speaks about why it is that the Lamb is worthy, and he dissents from the idea that it's about atonement, the Lamb being sacrificed for the sins of humankind. He argues that the image of the slaughtered lamb is that he was such a faithful witness. He was a fearless witness. He witnessed to the lordship of God even to the point of his own death, and that is John's lesson to us, to the churches, and to all of the churches, that we are called to be fearless witnesses to the lordship of God. He walks through, of course, when we're talking about the Lamb, we also have to think back to Exodus, because that's a theme that runs throughout all of this, the delivery of the people in Exodus. You have the Lamb that is sacrificed at the temple, but then you have the Passover Lamb and that entire thing. And then he also cites to the sinless Lamb of Isaiah 53, and those are familiar passages to us as well, and the conquering Lamb of Enoch. So all of these images come together in the person of the Lamb.
Okay. An image that comes near the end is the giving praise to God by all these creatures, and those giving praise to God come with props. The harps and the golden bowls where the prayers rise as incense. And the harps actually would be an Old Testament allusion to the Levites, who were, they were the worship leaders for Israel, those who served in the temple, who would be there day and night. And so that very much calls to mind their ministry and their role. And the golden bowls I mention because that comes out of an allusion to Psalm 141 verse 2. "Let my prayer stand before you as incense. Let my uplifted hands be like the evening offering." And so we invite you to be in prayer as we move towards Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday when we will dig even more deeply into Revelation chapter 4 and lift our voices in prayer and in praise to God.